We also have from
Recording
Ward
in
8,
progress.
Councillor Holly Ryan is with us. We only have really one item on the agenda, but before we get to that, let me just say that there was a chair's note about the tree ordinance. And we're not taking that up tonight. We are going to take that up in October, but my hope is that we take that up in October and we're able to actually complete our work. And so if possible, if people could, committee members could share with Jacqueline any questions they would like to readdress, questions they feel we need to address again that either we finalize not to their satisfaction or we need to revisit for some reason, or changes you think we need to make, excuse me, in that ordinance, just so that we can lay out our agenda and have a sense of all the questions left to answer, all the things we want to get through. I understand that things could come up at that meeting. This is not to preclude anyone from bringing anything up when we get to the meeting, but just in the hopes that we can plan out our time a little bit more easily. We've been joined by Councillor Pam Wright from Ward 3, who's a member of the committee as well. Does that schedule and does that plan make sense for folks in terms of the tree ordinance? Does everyone sort of understand what I've said and also agree with that in terms of process?
Did you say a specific date in October yet or no?
My hope is to do it at our first meeting in October. Jacqueline, do you know? Sorry, one of my dogs is a little fired up about the tree ordinance. I don't know if you can hear him barking. Jacqueline, do you know the date of our first meeting in October?
That is October 4th.
October 4th? Okay.
Yes.
So that's my hope, is to do this on October 4th. So, at least the week before, if folks could share with Jacqueline the items that they would like to revisit. If you have specific proposals, even better. But it would just help us, I think, as a committee lay out all the questions that are still pending before us.
Do we already have an existing list of those that can be added to?
Jacqueline and I discussed that. We have not yet compiled it.
I think it might be helpful to send that around in a non-discussion capacity, obviously, of course, just like so that we can see like what is pending. And then if people want to add on to that, that would be probably save some time.
I don't want people to wait for that. Like if you have an item that you want to discuss, send it to us. If it's already on the list, that's fine. We'll make sure.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what has been straw voted on everything. I mean, it's been almost a year.
Councilor Wright, anything in that ordinance that you think we need to revisit for any reason?
Okay, anything.
You can put on there. Now, we've taken straw votes on a lot of the stuff, but if for some reason you think it wasn't to your satisfaction, there's new information, for some reason you're going to suddenly be able to change people's minds, anything's on the table. They were straw votes. Nothing was finalized. So anything you want to revisit, you can put on there and we'll go through them all. And
we have the straw votes in a document?
They're in the reports. I don't think the straw votes are like notated in the language of the ordinance, but you could go back through the reports and look at them. Okay.
I mean, in theory, if they're in the document, they won the straw vote. They were the product of the straw vote, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And you're going to send out the final version that we've agreed upon today.
Yeah, we'll send back around both the red line version of the ordinance as well as the summary document that Jacqueline and I put together that sort of articulated all the decisions we made and changes that we were, as a committee, opting to make in this ordinance, regardless of whether it was a straw vote or just something that we all agreed upon and unanimously sort of, moved on from.
And when can we expect that document?
I will have those documents sent following this meeting.
Oh, that's soon. Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, so that should give folks plenty. Sorry, we've been joined by Councillor Lyle Baker. Councillor Baker, welcome, Ward 7. So folks should have those in short order. This gives you at least, a week and a half to just share with Jacqueline and me any items that you would like to revisit. If you have specific language, great. Or, votes you think we need to revisit. And then we'll have an agenda again. Does not preclude anything else from coming up during that meeting. But I think it gives us a baseline to work from about the items that we know we need to get through in order to finalize the ordinance.
Do you want it ahead of time? I forgot.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, please. As soon as you have them, and then we can share with the whole committee, even in the Friday packet, hopefully we can share the list of agenda items or topics that we plan to go through.
Chair, I noticed some people that might be here thinking that we're going to discuss the tree ordinance. So maybe it's worth just saying one more time that we're not doing that tonight.
The only item tonight in terms of the tree ordinance is what we are discussing the process, which is what we've just been discussing, but we will actually take up the substance of the tree ordinance at our first meeting in October. So if there is anyone here hoping to see a substantive debate on the tree ordinance, I apologize for disappointing you. We will not be doing that tonight. Any other questions about the tree ordinance that we'll move along to in October in our process for hopefully finalizing that?
What's the process after that? So let's say we agree on something on October. Are we going to vote it out on October or the next meeting? Or
if we're ready to vote on October 4th, we can vote. If we need to wait to sort of see language, or if something hadn't come to a point of resolution that we were all in agreement with, at least in agreement that the language we were looking at or that the point we had made satisfied the will of the committee, again, not necessarily everyone, but at least the way a vote had gone, then we can hold it off for another meeting to get language together. But if possible, we can move it that night. Councilor Noel?
Yeah, I was just going to suggest, but we don't have a chat. I see people logging on and stuff, is just to make a note somewhere that we're not talking about trees, because maybe people are coming on and off for trees. I don't know, but we don't have a chat. So that's not a thing. So.
Not a thing. But we're not discussing trees. Despite the fact that all we've discussed tonight is trees, we are not discussing trees tonight. Everyone's sufficiently clear on that, right? Okay.
Working, that's all.
All right, so the item on our agenda is item 300-23, request for confirmatory order of taking for Webster Woods.
Councilor Krinsman, we first need to hold the tree item.
Okay, I didn't think we really even introduced them. I was just sort of giving a scheduling thing, but here, let me introduce those items. 411-22, request for amendment to Chapter 21, Article 3, trees to extend tree protection and update permits, as well as 412-22, request for review and amendments to Chapter 21, Article 3, Division 3. As I said, we discussed the schedule. Can I get a motion to hold those?
Hold. I'll move.
Councilor Ryan has moved hold. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Those matters will be held until October. Back to item 300-23, a request for confirmatory order of taking for Webster Woods. Solicitor Giuliani is with us. I see Chief Operating Officer Jonathan Yeo is also with us. Welcome. I think they are here mostly to answer questions. I think we had the information in our packet. Let me give either of you an opportunity to present if you want. I didn't think you wanted to. Is that correct? Okay. So again, folks probably saw in the packet, the explanation of this item is that there were some errors made in terms of the specific boundaries of the Webster Woods property that was taken by eminent domain. This docket item seeks to correct that based on a discovery of a marker that was found that sort of indicates the property line more accurately. And this would result, if I'm not mistaken, in the taking being 2 acres less than we had originally thought. So essentially 2 acres that we thought were going to be taken by eminent domain by the city of Newton are not being taken by the city of Newton. If I've misstated that, please feel free to correct me, but I think that's the gist of this. Councilor Baker?
Just to clarify, my understanding is that 2 acres represents public land already held by the Department of Conservation and Recreation. It's not different land at Boston College, as I understand it.
That's correct, Councilor Baker. Yep.
Land owned by the Department of Conservation and Recreation, DCR.
And the other question is, do we need to entertain any executive session for this? It doesn't sound like it, but if the city solicitor wants one, I didn't know if we needed to do that.
I will say this. There is pending litigation over this matter. So if questions arose from the committee that touched too closely on the litigation or required answers that would potentially invoke responses that would implicate litigation strategy, then we would go into executive session to discuss those. I think the confirmatory order of taking does not require an executive session. And if there are further questions from the committee members, then we don't necessarily need one.
That's fine, thanks. I'm glad to move the order, the amended order, if there's no discussion, but if there is discussion, I'll wait.
Okay, Councilor Baker has moved approval. We can still discuss. President Albright.
So I just wanted to make sure that the only change is the meets and bounds from the new survey. That's the only change in what's going on here.
That's correct. This is really an order that corrects a Scrivener's error.
Okay, that's fine with me.
I have one other question. I'm sorry.
Councilor Baker.
City Solicitor, any other documents need modification as a result of this boundary change that were subsequently part of this whole process?
The only other document that the law department will generate is the actual record of taking. That does not require the council's approval. It's simply updating that, which we will file with the Registry of Deeds.
I'm just trying to remember, a conservation restriction on the property, does that require any modification in the language for that?
No.
Okay.
And along those lines, Solicitor Giuliani, if I could just ask, I believe this is probably to take retroactive effect. Do we need to specifically vote on a retroactive nature of the order?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to vote on that. Our record will reflect the original taking plus this confirmatory order, and that will reflect the and the appraisals behind those will reflect the record of what happened here.
Okay. Okay. Any other discussion before we entertain the motion from Councilor Baker?
Okay. Oh, sorry, Chair Krinsman, if I could just add, sure. Just in terms of retroactivity, when we record the deed, the record will reflect that this confirmatory order will relate back to the original.
Damn.
But there isn't any specific retroactive action that the council would have to take.
Okay. Okay. Then the item before us, 300-23, Councilor Baker has moved approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Sorry, any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, I believe that is 7-0. Councilor Greenberg absent. Great. That's really all our business for tonight. Sorry to disappoint you all, to send you all back to your families and your lives. That's all we have tonight, and we will convene again, hopefully in early October again. Please remember to send in anything you have on the tree ordinance or votes you'd like to take ahead of time, just so that we can plan out that evening a little bit more easily. Okay? Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.